Listening to Ron Siegel Radio on ESPN Radio 1700. Now, live in studio, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. We've got an action-packed broadcast lined up for you this morning. Robert Mott will be checking in, our international wine guru. Robert checks in with us every Wednesday morning, so we've got some great information coming from Robert. And then we're going to talk a little bit of sports. David Meltzer will be checking in with us, letting us chat. You never know what David's going to be able to share with us. He's always got some great content, and we love having him. So he will be checking in with us as well. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. You know that there are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Got a lot going on. Obviously, there are still a lot of commentary coming from the horrific attacks over in Brussels. But, you know, we still have to start our day with a celebration on Ron Siegel Radio. Today being National Puppy Day. Oh, wait. I think, you know what happens when you have National Puppy Day? You have to get at least a little bit of a check-in from Hillary Clinton. She's a little slow this morning. I guess after those wins last night that she had, they were really popular for her. I guess we can't even get her to check in here with us today. Oh, well, we'll try that a little bit later if we have to, or if we can. Also today, National Chip and Dip Day. You can always go for a little bit of chip and dip, beating anorexia. Chip and dip is a good way to start the day out as well. What else is going on in the markets? Well, we saw that the new home sales came in slightly better than expected. That was a nice number, 2% last month, rose 2% last month, annualized rate 512,000. Got some reporting to come to you with as well. Congress, you gotta love it. Congress doing a little bit of action there. We'll have to see what comes from the president, but those of you in the military having any kind of difficulties with your home loans, Congress has extended, again, the president has to sign this, but Congress has extended the military foreclosure relief measure, and that's good through 2017. They passed this bill late on Monday to extend foreclosure relief for military service members through the end of next year. So normally the military families have 9 months as a grace period, no foreclosures allowed. The new law, or this wow, Hillary must have just woke up. That new law that came into effect is going to give us 12 months for that to happen. So that's a good bit of news right there for our military. Obviously, you know, anytime we can help a little with the military, we're always looking for that. So if you are a military family, you've got any kind of a distress situation, I sure urge you to give us a call, 800-306-1990. I don't know if we can help, but I certainly know one thing for sure. We will do everything in our power to try and help military families. We help any family we can, we like to help. But military, you have to go that extra mile for the military men and women. They're doing that for us so that we can do what we do every day. So you got to go out there and say thank you. That's why we had Penny Lambright on yesterday chatting about Patriots and Paws. I hope you caught that broadcast. If you missed any portion of it, Certainly you know that you can go to Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube, and get that information. And it's great information from Penny yesterday. Moving right along, a little more distress information. It seems to me that because even though there's a lot of folks that have equity in their homes, still got to make sure we keep on top of some of those people that are hurting. Because that is our population. They are our citizens, our brothers and sisters. So let's FHFA. You don't want them to rush into anything, right? I mean, we know that they can be a little bit slow, but they are talking now about those folks who have a distressed situation. They're not able to make their mortgage payments. Maybe they had some adjustable rate mortgage. Here's one that a lot of people haven't thought about, but it's going to be a big, big issue over the next weeks and years to come. Did you get a loan modification? Do you know anybody that got a loan modification 2008, 2009, 2010? A lot of those modifications were set up, and I'll call it like it is, they were set up for people to fail. And I'll tell you why I say they were set up for people to fail, is they started out with a very, very low interest rate on these modifications. They'd give somebody a 2% interest rate on a loan modification. And I'm not saying that it's bad for somebody to have a 2% interest rate on the loan modification, but what they did with that loan modification, in addition to providing that 2% loan or that interest rate, it was not a long-term interest rate. That was not the 30-year fixed rate loan that many of us enjoy. What they did is they set these up and they put them into they would adjust. They'd give them like 5 years at 2%, and then it would start going up from there. Well, here's the issue. They did those based on a rate of interest, or an interest rate of 2% based on income. And they looked at it and they said, okay, if your household income is, we're going to take 38% of your household income. So again, rough, simple guy that I am, 38%. If you make $10,000 a month, I don't know if you do. That's $10,000. Nice salary, $120,000 a year. Let's go to $5,000. What the heck? I can even do that one in my head too. $5,000, $60,000 a year. That means your housing had to be at $1,900 a month. That would be principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and homeowners association. Okay, so we got that in place. Here's the issue. When the interest rate starts increasing, if your income does not start increasing at the same or greater rate, you're going to fall behind again. And we've seen just statistics, income has not been increasing. So what do people do? Well, they get back into those distressed situations again. Well, that's what we're talking about, and that's why I've said right along that those loan modifications really, they were short-sighted. The idea there, I'm going to say it, was maybe not necessarily to help you. It was to help the banks. It got the banks' distressed property off their books. When a bank has a non-performing loan, they have to put onto their reserves an expense 3 times the amount of that loan. So if they have a $200,000 loan that you're not able to make payments on, they have to set up reserves for $600,000. They wanted to get those back into performing numbers, so they do a loan modification, 2%, bring that payment down to $1,900, and then we're going to deal with it later on. That's exactly how they deal with it. But the problem was they were guessing, hoping that the economy would get to such a point that you started making more money. Well, that didn't exactly happen. When that does not happen, then what do? Well, you have to punt, right? You're back in the same situation that we were in before. Well, now, within the next 30 days, the FHFA, government agency, again, one of those put together through the Dodd-Frank Act, they say in the next 30 days they're going to come out with definitive information on a solution for principal reduction, or if they will not allow for any kind of principal reductions, and that would be within the government-sponsored entities, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae. So we're going to hear that in the next 30 days. I would recommend to you, reach out to us, 800-306-1990. We'll see what your numbers look like. We can put you in touch. Either Peter Felix was on recently. He shared with us information about loan modifications and helping if you need to. Maybe the answer for you is to sell your property. We know people have equity in their properties now. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But think about this. There are solutions for you. We'll talk about them more in the days and weeks to come. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, Robert Mott will be checking in. 91.5% of homes in the U.S. have positive equity. We will talk about it. Mortgage Minute is coming up, and a limited time offer from American Express. All that and more. You can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. And don't forget, if you miss any part of our broadcast, it's Ron Siegel 1, Ron Siegel the numeral 1 on YouTube or in the archives of ronsiegelradio.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
In the middle of us.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Ron Siegel Radio Date Night Trivia, presented by Reunion Kitchen and Drink. Friday, Ron will pose a question based on-air conversations during the prior 7 programs. The person to post the answer according to the guest conversation will win a date night package, including a dinner gift card for Reunion Kitchen and Drink. You might even be able to say hi to Ron when you visit Reunion Kitchen and Drink.
It's not every day your home gets flooded, but when it happens, you've got the good people at Apris on your side. With over 25 years of construction and insurance experience, they can turn any disaster around, making your home good as new. For 24/7 support, call 844-GO-APRIS or find us on the web at www.apris.me. Day, night, rain, or shine, when it happens to you, you know what to do. Go Apris. Remember, call 844-GO-APRIS. That's 844-462-7747.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio, or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. When you're ready for the true value or the true equity amount of your home, give us a call, 800-306-1990. Or actually, you can just text PAIR, P-E-A-R, to 79564. PAIR, easy for me to say. PAIR, P-E-A-R, to 79564. 91% of the homes in the U.S. have positive equity. This is an interesting report. CoreLogic's latest equity report revealed that 1 million borrowers regained equity in their homes in 2015. The outlook for 2016 remains positive, as well as an additional 850,000 properties would regain equity in their homes if prices rose another 5% this year. Study revealed 95% of the homes valued over $200,000, that's pretty much most of us in California, now have positive equity position. 87% of homes valued under $200,000 have entered a positive position. The 11.5% growth in home equity in Q4 last year marked the 13th consecutive quarter of double-digit gains. Below is a map, and I'm going to share this on Facebook, of the homes with a mortgage in each state that have positive equity. 93.3% in California. 93.3%. If you're thinking that you don't have equity, you can't do anything with your home, you can't get rid of that home equity line of credit, can't get rid of that mortgage insurance, well, think about it. Pretty simple. Give us a call, 800-306-1990. I'll put you in touch with the right people to help you. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Red wine means it is Wednesday and our time for a chat with Robert Mott. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Ron. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. I'm out here in the Coachella Valley enjoying the good life. And, you know, I saw the notes for this morning, and it really was great because I was sitting sipping some wine yesterday, and I thought, you know, I see people bringing out these, what do they call it, the flights of craft beers nowadays. And we've never really talked about that much on radio about, you know, you go into a wine facility, and we've talked about the idea you order a bottle of wine, and if it's not to your liking, well, it's not fair to return it. If there's something wrong with it, that's a different discussion. But what about sampling? What's the etiquette there?
Well, you know, it's one of the things that, you know, like you pointed out, if you go to a craft beer establishment or an ice cream parlor, for those of you that aren't into craft beer.
I'm into both. I'm not into the craft beer, but the ice cream, so I like that analogy, though.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same. You know, it's, you know, you don't really hesitate in either situation to ask for a sample. And certainly when you go into a wine bar, you know, it's part of their charter, their job, or their mission is to get people to try things and try new things. So don't hesitate at all ever to ask for a taste, a sample. I mean, don't be going through the entire list and sample 29 different wines or anything like that. But generally, they have these wines open by the glass anyway. So just feel free to grab the ones you think are that you want to try and have them pour you a little taste, just a little sample. And that could be a great way to actually, if you're thinking about selecting a bottle, that perhaps one of the wines with a glass on the list is something that you're very interested in. It gives you a way, kind of gives you an entree, a way to try before you buy, so to speak. And likewise, if you're just interested in the glass. So do not hesitate to ask for that sample at all. So now, is it fair to ask for any sample? I mean, if it's something that they're selling by the glass, even if it's some of the, the more what we would term a luxury wine, is that fair or is that unfair? I would put it in the realm of fair. If they have it open by the glass, one thing you can be assured of, and that's one thing that some people always get kind of upset about the pricing arrangements or pricing policies on wines by the glass and how expensive that looks, at least to the average consumer. But generally, I'm not sure what the average is, but I'm guessing the average of waste or what a wine bar would throw out on average is probably somewhere around 15 to 20% of the wine they open gets thrown out anyway. So if they have the opportunity to let you try something, and perhaps then it basically they become motivated as a result of trying it to actually buying a glass of it. That certainly works. It's a win-win. It wins for the consumer and it wins for the wine bar owner as well. So I would say as long as it's open by the glass, I would definitely put it in as fair game to be sampled. So I would not hesitate at all on that. And a sample, is usually maybe an ounce of wine or maybe a little less. So it's not like you're really pouring off a lot of the bottle for this sampling process anyway.
That kind of brings me to another thought that I had, and I could probably, being that we do a little bit of finance every once in a while on Ron Siegel Radio, here's a thought though. Where do you see the value for us as a consumer if I'm going to get one glass, obviously it's cheaper for me to buy a glass than a bottle. But is it at 2 glasses, 3 glasses? Where do you see on most times, without us doing the math every time we go into a restaurant, where is it better for us to jump up to a bottle instead of ordering, if 2 or 3 of us are ordering glasses?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ron. It's one of the things that I see people do this all the time, that 2 people come in, they'll both order a glass of wine and say, well, we just want a glass. We don't really want to commit to a bottle. And we just want 1 glass of wine. And, of course, those are famous last words. Oh, we're just going to have 1 glass of wine. I would say, as a rule of thumb, it's somewhere between 2 glasses and 3 glasses that you really want to strongly consider buying the bottle. I would generally say two glasses is probably a good break point on that. Because generally, in most cases, if you take the wine by the glass price and you take the cost of acquiring a bottle, somewhere between 2 and 3 glasses of wine generally will take care of the tariff, essentially, for a whole bottle. So you're essentially getting at least a glass free, and sometimes 2 glasses free when you go ahead and commit to the bottle. So in the case of, like, if you and I went to a wine bar and we both agreed that we not want a nice glass of Cabernet, there'd be certainly no question we should order the bottle. And even though we both look at each other in the eye and say, hey, we're only going to have 1 glass, and we're only going to have 1 glass first, and then we'll have the second glass, is what it'll turn out to be.
Yeah, we're only going to have 1 glass, and I think we both forgot to say at a time.
Exactly. Because it does look a little unusual when you have a glass of wine in each hand and you're alternating out of each one. It's generally considered to be better protocol to drink 1 glass at a time. Yeah,
that makes sense. Now, what are your thoughts when we go into the wine bar, especially wine bars? I mean, restaurants are a different story, I think. Sharing glasses of wine, should we each get a different varietal, or do you think we should? What are your thoughts?
Well, it kind of depends on the group, and how adventurous you want to be. I always think it's really a fun thing to do in a wine bar when you have a lot of different new wines on the list. For everybody to pick one's a little different, maybe a little bit more to their own personal taste, but something that that might be interesting for the rest of the group to try out. So kind of order a smattering, so to speak, or a smorgasbord of wine. And then if you feel comfortable sharing at that point, it's certainly not bad form to share with all your compadres at that point. In some cases as well, if the wine bar is not too busy, many times they'll offer you an empty glass so you can kind of share things around a little bit, just to kind of help out with that process. But don't ask for that glass if it's just packed busy, because odds are they're getting ready to run out of glasses anyway. So just kind of buckle up and be assured that the alcohol in the wine will keep it somewhat sanitary.
Yeah, well, that's and hopefully you're going to the wine bar with somebody that you pretty much have some sort of a friendly relationship with. I mean, it's not somebody that you just picked up off the street. Yeah. Hopefully that's the case, but it happens both ways. But generally, as we know, wine bars are a great place to, for friends to get together and have something immediately in common to talk about. When you have a glass of wine in front of you that you want to discuss or talk about the ins and outs of, or the history of it, or the background of the owners, or whatever, it gives you certainly some automatic fodder for carrying on those conversations. And, of course, solving all the world's problems. Wine always makes all the world's problems easier to solve, as we know. Absolutely. But you know what? You made a comment there, Robert, and I want to throw this at you because I'm always wondering, I've been in marketing my whole life. And I've drank a little wine almost my whole life as well. But here's the issue that I was kind of questioning. You go into a restaurant, you go into a wine bar, and you see that they've got this great menu, and then they've got a food menu, and they put wine pairings there. Are those experts that are doing that, someone like yourself putting those pairings together, or is it a novice like me that says, something, I got a good margin on this product, let's put these two together?
I would like to say it's always a situation where you have a sommelier or someone who perhaps a chef or someone like that who's putting together those kinds of pairings. And like I said, I'd like to say that. I can't always say that, as I've seen many instances where, being in the business, of course, knowing that perhaps the distributors are running a special on that wine this week, and then seeing that wine on somebody's pairings list, with a certain food choice, and I'm kind of going. Sometimes it doesn't always make sense. So, having said that, I'd say majority of the time, I think people who manage, run, or own wine bars or restaurants that go to the trouble of doing a wine and food pairing, the vast majority of the time they've put some good thought into it, and it's certainly worth trying their suggestions, because many times the description of the food doesn't always there's no substitute for tasting it, of course, and so sometimes the particular expression of a culinary dish would be a very interesting pairing with a certain maybe interesting wine, and I think it's always a good practice to consider those pairings that they've pre-engineered for you. But use your own judgment as well. I'd say about 80% of the time, probably they're pretty well thought out. A few times it's really, as you say, it's more of a marketing decision, and we found something we can make great margin on. I hate seeing those when I see them, and obviously I have kind of my radar up for those. But I do find some of these for the pairings very, very interesting, and certainly worth being a little adventurous on.
Great information as always. Obviously, one thing, Robert, that we certainly know is that the bottom line, even with those pairings, is they're not going to be able to retire at the wine bar or restaurant off of your one experience. They want you to come back, so they better do it right. Great information. Appreciate it, Robert. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, David Meltzer's checking in with the business of sports. You can reach me anytime. The off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area-trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL lendingteam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Southern California attorneys have over 15,000 real estate agents to call in Orange County for their personal and professional needs. Why do they overwhelmingly call Melinda Johnson? Simple. It's the Melinda Johnson trifecta. Melinda is an attorney, real estate broker, and realtor. Does your family deserve the same professional services California lawyers demand? Call Melinda Johnson at 714-863-5485. That's 714-863-5485. Or on the web at freedomfirstproperties.com. Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel lending team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel lending team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
37% of American homeowners believe they have over 20% equity in their homes. Fannie Mae tells us 69% of American homeowners have over 20% equity in their homes. Fully 1 in 3 American homeowners are not informed about the amount of equity equity they have in their homes. Are you one of them? How might this be holding you back from achieving your goals? Text RSR CMA to 79564 to get a property valuation from one of the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Again, to know how much your home is really worth, simply text RSR CMA to 79564.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. Credit Sanitizer has the solutions for you. American Express, the Blue Card. They've got a special offer going right now. I don't know if you've seen this offer out there in the marketplace. Until just recently, I hadn't even seen anything about it. If you spend $2,000 in the first year or by the end of the current year on this Blue Card, word is if you get approved, if you get the card, they're going to give you a $200 rebate. It's based on cell phone bills. So up to $200 back on cell phone bills. I think you ought to take a look at the American Express Blue Card, see if you qualify for it, if you like getting cash back offers. That is the Your Credit Matters segment today, again brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com.
Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Look at me. I can be Sandio.
It is always fun when we get to have the opportunity to speak to a business guru that, I'm a sports fanatic. So it's always a blast for me to get to chat with David Meltzer. He living the dream out there, business of sports. Good morning, David.
Hey, buddy. How are you, Ron?
I am doing great. Glad you had time to check in with us this morning. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually out here. I saw this story, and I figured I better talk to you about it because I'm sitting here in the Coachella Valley chatting this morning, doing a remote broadcast, and I saw they had the tennis tournament out here last week, and I think there may be a little, what has been, 18, 20 years since Serena Williams came out to the tennis tournament, and now we see that the Indian Wells CEO says that the women are riding on the coattails of the men. Probably not going to be great marketing. What do you think?
Oh, it's even worse than that. I think Mr. Moore defined putting your shoe in your mouth because he actually said the women should get down on their knees and thank guys like Nadal. What he said was it's not 18 to 20 years ago, Serena Williams. It sounds like the 1820s. Yeah.
I mean, that's just ludicrous. I mean, heck, I could tell you this. When I watch tennis, I shouldn't say this, but I'm probably like half the males in the world. I'd much rather watch some of the women playing tennis than the men. Right?
Absolutely. Here, how about this? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
How about this for a fact, Ron? Last year at Indian Wells, not any other tournament, at his own tournament, the women's final sold out before the men's final. And they should be thanking the men?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I got to tell you, I think that it's, I'd be watching I like the women's tennis. So maybe the men should be starting to thank the women and go the other way around.
As long as everyone, it's a decision of math, right? I believe in sports and humanity, and that whether it's men or women, that everyone should be paid the equal percentage for what they bring in. And, luckily with ticket sales and TV revenue, it's simple math, and the women, in this case, should be paid more than the men.
You know, and you and I have talked about this a little bit before, because I look at some of the sports, and some people are quick to say that that the athletes don't deserve the amount of money that they get, and they're way overpaid. And, if you were saying, well, just to be a baseball player, a tennis player, yeah, that's probably true, but I think they're more entertainers than they are athletes. I mean, they are great athletes, but they're getting paid for their entertainment value, aren't they?
Yeah, so I see athletes as content, and the same as an actor. And nobody's complaining about people getting $20, $30 million for a movie that grosses, $300 million, because they're the reason that people are going either initially stimulated to go to the theater or not. And the same thing holds true for any athlete, regardless of their skill set. If their content is repurposed or it's attractive, then they should be paid for the revenue in percentage that they draw in, or as much as they can get that somebody believes they can draw in.
That makes a lot of sense, because that's why, it's the interesting scenario. We'll take it to NFL, because I know you're so involved with the NFL. But, the owner of the Rams may see the value of a player differently than the owner of the Chargers. Doesn't mean the player's any different. It's just that that's what that particular owner feels the value is, and they're buying something just like the layman, like I am. If I'm going to buy a glass of wine, I see the value of something that is completely different than maybe the next person. Don't they have that right as an owner?
Absolutely. They have the right as an owner. Obviously they have to play within the rules of antitrust law and collective bargaining in order to make sure that no team just buys up all the talent. That's an issue with how much to pay. But that's why there's a salary cap. But moreover, as far as content or talent goes, any owner, any team, any league, organization should be able to pay what they need to acquire talent, to make more money, help more people, and have more fun.
I think I've heard that somewhere before. Being able to make more money and help more people and have more fun. That sounds very, very familiar to me.
Yeah, it's how I live, and believe it or not, it's the aspirations of most teams, leagues, and owners and athletes. They're looking to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun, and it's that simple.
Speaking of that, it's interesting how we saw, and I don't think you and I think this happened since you and I have chatted, but we saw somebody making a statement, and I haven't followed the whole story, but Adam LaRoche out there in Chicago making a decision to walk away from $13 million because he wanted to spend more time with his family. I think that's pretty admirable. What are your thoughts?
I think the sentiment is extremely admirable, but you and I both being a little bit cynical and understanding how businesses run, let's take this and understand this. Obviously he wanted to get out of his contract. He wanted to end the relationship because, simply he could have went back to ownership and told them, look, you promised me my son would be involved and I would be able to allow him to do certain things. It's not as if he was coming to every practice, et cetera. So either the team or the Adam himself wanted to end that relationship because that sentiment and that mistake is one that's easily resolved and easily compromised. But, I love the context that it comes out in. I love the media. I love the story because at least it raises awareness to something that I believe in, and that's family first.
And something, I bet as a sports marketing guru, you can really go to marketing something like that. I mean, there's got to be a lot of companies out there that want him as a role model, showing, hey, family first, just like you just said.
No doubt, it opens up all types of doors for Adam. And I know that he believes, what he did for the reasons that he did, but I do think there's some added marketing value, as well as it could have been resolved if he wanted it to be resolved, or the ownership wanted it to be resolved. Either way, the MLB and all their teams should be promoting that, just like any other workplace, some sort of balance between work and the kids. I'll give you an example. In Buffalo, that championship team, the team that made it to the Super Bowl 4 times, obviously Ralph Wilson's a great owner. His rules where the kids were allowed in the locker room, they were allowed on the field, except for after a game if they lost. And they just didn't want that sort of conflict or risk management. If the team lost, they wouldn't allow the family in the locker room.
Probably gave them a little more motivation to win the game as well.
No doubt. Very good.
Well, we want to chat. I hope you have a little time to stay over with us, David. We still want to talk to you about the NFL and the brain disease and what's Phil Knight up to. So I hope you have a little bit of time to stick with me.
You got it, buddy. I wish I was with you in Coachella.
Absolutely. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we will be talking brain disease in the NFL. What have they admitted or not? And what's Phil Knight up to? A $400 million gift? Hey, I'll give him my bank account number. Wire transfers always accepted. You can reach us anytime. Call the off-air number, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you have a loved one who wants to stay in their home but you have health concerns about it? The Preferred Care team understands the challenges of caring for your loved ones. Their goal is to keep seniors as independent as possible while maintaining their health, safety, and overall well-being. Whether you need just a few hours a week or 24-hour care, Preferred Care caregivers are trained to meet your needs. Call Preferred Care at 714-696-9150. That's 714-696-9150. Or visit preferredcare.com.
In these uncertain times, it's getting harder and harder to find a safe and effective method of investing. If you're looking at retirement options that can provide some real security for you and your family, look no further than a reverse mortgage with Siegel Lending Team. Hundreds of thousands of other Americans are already taking advantage of reverse mortgages. It allows you to eliminate monthly mortgage payments, pay some bills, or simply enjoy your retirement more. A government-insured reverse mortgage with Siegel Lending Team allows seniors to stay in their home and turn their equity into tax-free cash. To qualify, there are no credit score requirements, and remember, you continue to retain complete ownership of your home. Call 1-800-306-1990 to receive a new special edition handbook, Feature Reverse Mortgage Borrowers, plus an educational brochure absolutely free. Find out more. Call Siegel Lending Team today. 1-800-306-1990. SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com or 1-800-306-1990.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Scripps Proton Therapy Center is turning cancer treatment into an art form because life after cancer is a beautiful thing. Learn more at scripps.org/beautiful-thing.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by VIP Mortgage. Any mortgage that you need, just about, they've got it. They go from the basic VA loan, which is the best loan on the market, FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, conventionals, all the way up to $3 million interesting loans. I say interesting because they could be where you need to do asset depletion. Maybe you don't know what that is, but they do it. One day at a short sale, bankruptcy, foreclosure, all the products, VIP has them. Today we wanted to chat a little bit before we get back to David Meltzer, talking about mortgage insurance. What is mortgage insurance? And I hear some of these folks talking that mortgage insurance is horrible. Is it or is it not? Well, let me define it first. It's defined as money paid to insure the mortgage when the borrower has less than a 20% down payment. So you could have mortgage insurance, or there's private mortgage insurance and mortgage insurance premiums. Those are two different issues. Private mortgage insurance is exactly what it says. It's from a private entity. Mortgage insurance premium is on the FHA loan. And again, they just guarantee that portion to get up to the 20% down payment. So if you put a larger down payment down, your mortgage insurance premium will be a little bit less on the private mortgage side. On the FHA side, pretty much a fixed number. So here are the issues that you want to get rid of that mortgage insurance as soon as possible. But I am a big, big fan of mortgage insurance because I want you to own your home. I do not want you renting. Anytime you can get out of renting, you are much better off because renting means you're paying somebody else's mortgage. That is the Mortgage Minute, again brought to you by VIP Mortgage. Continuing our conversation this morning, David Meltzer, Sports One Marketing, our business of sports guru. You still with me, David?
You bet I am, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I wanted to chat with you. I saw an article because I know that you've been a bit, maybe quite a bit, involved in this. The NFL, a top NFL official admitting there's a link between football and brain disease. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, like everybody doesn't perceive that already.
Right.
Just to what extent? And, it is a matter of accountability. And the NFL executive that said that is taking accountability for an obvious transition from, head trauma to head disease and brain disease. And, Jerry Jones was quite upset about it, as you may or may not have heard, by saying there's no evidence at all linked between, 300-pound guys banging their heads against each other and brain disease. Are you kidding me? It's a medical fact. If you've seen concussion, right? The plaque, when your brain is damaged, there's a plaque that develops on your brain. We've seen everyone, from Tony Dorsett to Junior Seau, to the list goes on and on of people that have had a negative or detrimental effect to their brain from playing football. Now, that doesn't mean that every single other thing that we do may or may not have a detrimental effect as well, right? Drinking, Coca-Cola probably has a detrimental effect on your brain, and people have strokes because they've drank Coke now for 30 years. And, we balance all these things with our lives, and we take all these risks. And, coming from someone that played football till he was 22, not at a very good level, but played it nonetheless, I took those risks, and there was no doubt that I had all types of different risks, including paralysis and my brain damage, which I probably have. But I'm tired of everyone, hiding behind some veil that football doesn't affect your brain.
But doesn't everything we do, I'm a big believer that if I lived in a bubble, I'd probably live a longer life because they'd be controlling. I wouldn't be obese as I am. I wouldn't be eating the things that they tell me not to eat. I wouldn't be drinking the things, great wines. I wouldn't be doing that. They'd probably force me to get out, in this bubble, in this perfect hyperbaric chamber. They'd have me doing the right amount of exercise. But that wouldn't be the quality of life. I think that NFL players, don't they trade, isn't there a trade-off and some responsibility of the players too, to say, something, I know that, 300-pound guys, if they hit my knee the wrong way, I'm going to have knee problems. Don't they have some responsibility as well?
Absolutely, just like you and I do. And there's all these variables involved that whether you play or you don't play, you may have problems. And, I take in my own family that has exceptional genetics. Everybody ends up looking like a small, bald little turtle at 90, 95, and even 105. But, I had an uncle who, ate right, ran marathons, all these different things, and he died in bed at 70. Well, meanwhile, my father, who smokes 3 packs of cigarettes a day and lives on candy, is alive at 80. I think we all make our conscious decisions, and I will tell you as an insider, especially in the NFL and in sports, that talking to Hall of Famers, Pro Bowlers, ex-retired NFL alumni, that 90-some% of them would not trade one thing for their experience, whether they played 1 year or 20 years, like Warren Moon, would not trade it, even if they end up injured or with something, because it meant that much to their quality of life of what they loved.
Now, I know that you've had some, and I don't want to get into anything that's confidential. I want to respect that, but I know you've had some dealings with the concussion settlement in the NFL. Is this admission going to have any bearing on that and what the courts have been doing with this?
None at all. None at all. The settlement is about respecting those players in the past that have some potential problems that exist right now. And so, no effect at all. It's on appeal right now, and what they're trying to do is figure out what's the fairest thing for retired players, who to include, who to exclude, and how do they determine that someone just doesn't have Parkinson's because they have Parkinson's instead of playing football, because there is going to be some percentage that are going to recover in the $1 billion settlement that have some brain damage or loss that isn't equated to football, but that's just going to be part of the settlement and the reality that we can't have a perfect settlement, but we need to take care of those guys that played in the NFL.
Well, something, you start seeing this, and again, I'm totally an outsider. My knowledge of this strictly comes from being a sports fan, and you hear them talking $1 billion settlement, and then you hear about it going through appeal, and then you hear tragedy, utter tragedy of I think it was a Mike Webster, a Junior Seau. Isn't this basically going to minimize the benefit of this settlement, because as they go through appeal, more and more of these guys are perishing?
No, it's a minimum of, they have to put $1 billion into escrow, so that's a common misnomer. It has plenty of money to cover everyone, but it's a minimum of $1 billion has to be put into escrow.
No, but my thought, I must have misstated that. They have to put $1 billion in, that I get. But are they distributing it so that some of the players that are really, really hurting and in need today are getting it, and they may not, the player themselves, the individuals, might not have died before they finally start dispersing money, or are they dispersing money now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is a scale. There's actually a matrix of different injuries and your age and how the disbursements work, but they have not started yet to distribute the money because it's under appeal. And as soon as they have a settlement agreement, they will have 180 days to file or register. And if they don't register, they'll be excluded completely. So everybody, whether you're a young retired guy or an old retired guy, you need to register once that settlement becomes effective, or else you will be exempt from any of the money that will be distributed. And it will be distributed upon age and the level of damage that has been done to you. And that also can go to your family as well.
And where would a player, if they're not following all this, or the family of a player, where do they call to get information on this?
So we have a website, fortheplayers.com, that has plenty of information, or you can call our office at Sports One Marketing, and we'll give you the appropriate information as it stands today. Obviously, we are not a law firm, but we were happy to help and guide you into finding the appropriate representation.
Beautiful. Now, let's turn to, we only have about a minute left. I want to get something that's more exciting and fun to talk about. Phil Knight giving a donation to Stanford. What's that all about?
Well, he went to graduate school at Stanford. I think he's proven that all his money has been well spent at Oregon as they sit, number one in basketball, number one in football. So I wish it would have went to our favorite local school there on, but unfortunately, Stanford, the rich get richer. He's given that $400 million to Stanford, and it's probably a drop in the bucket for Phil, but good on Stanford, and it just means we'll probably see Stanford even higher in the ranks in basketball and football.
And something, I think it's great because he's giving it for young people to continue, and it's for an educational purpose. And Stanford, I don't know whether it's true or not, you would probably know this more than me, but Stanford claims that they're looking for the educational aspect because I'm a big believer, I know you are too, that they're the guys can take an education for life. Their careers in athletics are very, very short, and so's our time. So that's why we ask you every day, set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Again, thanks to David Meltzer for checking in, Robert Mott checking in with us. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Steve, who's engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
In the middle of our street, our house.
FHFA News 700 AM kita Bata Lipongan.
You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700.